joint declaration of Ethan and Hila Klein in support of TED Entertainment Incorporated's opposition to the Doe's defendants' motion to quash plaintiff's subpoenas to Reddit and Discord. The joint declaration of Ethan and Hila Klein. We, Ethan and Hila Klein, do hereby state and declare as follow. We are both over the age of 18. We are the sole co-owners of Plaintiff TED Entertainment Incorporated. We have personal knowledge of the facts contained in this declaration. Where matters are within both of our personal knowledge, we shall use the first person. Example, we, us, our. Where matters pertain to or are within the personal knowledge of one of us, we shall use the third person, i.e., Ethan for Ethan Klein and Hila for Hila Klein. We make this declaration in support of TEI's opposition to the motion to quash plaintiff subpoenas to Reddit and Discord. Introduction and an apology. We apologize in advance for the length of this declaration. It is not our intention to burden the court with unnecessary information, but the H3 Snark mods make numerous assertions against us that are false and misleading. Our greatest fear is that the court take these assertions at face value and signs off on this false narrative. Our objective with this declaration is to correct the record and provide critical context. To facilitate ease of use, we are providing headings and bookmarks for topics to assist the court in identifying the exact information it requires. We wish to immediately address the most glaring omission from the motion and the H3 Snark mods declaration. The most frequent form of criticism made on H3 Snark is that we advocate and participate in the genocide of Palestinians. Both of us are Jewish Israeli Americans. Both before and after October 7th, we have condemned Israel's treatment of the Palestinians. We have also described Israel's war in Gaza as a genocide and donated to Palestinian relief charities. Since October 7th, we have suffered incessant abuse and harassment, fostered largely in part by the H3 Snark mods. Merely because we do not support political violence, example, Hamas, and we believe in a two-state solution instead of the immediate eradication of Israel. We shall provide further details to support these assertions below. Good faith. Conditions we agree for this court to impose on us. The vast majority of the H3 Snark mods concerns are what we will publicly say about them and what our audience shall do if we publicly disclose their identities. We have made multiple attempts to address the H3 Snark mods concerns, which were apparently rejected. To demonstrate that TEI is pursuing its claims in good faith, we are repeating what we offered the H3 Snark mods and agree that, if the court deems it appropriate, to incorporate any or all of the following conditions into the court's order. 2. TED Entertainment versus Frogan, and 3. TED Entertainment versus Caseytron. At this time, we have no intention of pursuing any other claims against the H3 Snark mods, whether in our personal capacities or for our entities, i.e. TEI and Teddy Fresh. If the court denies a motion and we discover that we have additional claims against the H3 Snark mods, we are willing to make a prima facie showing that the claims are viable as a condition for such claims proceeding. Second, on August 28, 2025, we promise to not publicly reveal the H3 Snark mods' personal identifying information or publicly address them in their individual capacity. We made this offer on the condition that the H3 Snark mods would reciprocate, as it would avoid a scenario where we would both have to defend ourselves. If the court denies the motion, we promise we will not disclose any personal identifying information about the H3 Snark mods or address them in their individual capacities. We are willing to submit to contempt proceedings in the event of an alleged breach, with the prevailing party entitled to its attorney's fees. Third, we are willing to publicly state to our audience and the public at large not to contact or harm the H3 Snark mods, their families, their employers, or educational institutions whatsoever. Part 1. Relevant background. The objective of Part 1 of our declaration is to provide the essential background facts and context for TEI's opposition to the motion in the most concise manner possible. Part 2 of our declaration is directed at addressing the assertions made against us by the H3 Snark mods. Background of TEI. We are the sole owners of TEI. While we both jointly run TEI, Ethan's official position is Chief Executive Officer of TEI, and Hila's official position is Secretary of TEI. We co-host the H3 show together. Additionally, TEI employs nearly a dozen people. We have a very close relationship with the employees of TEI and consider them family. TEI is a production company that produces online content primarily on YouTube. TEI owns various YouTube channels, including H3 Productions, H3 Podcast, Ethan Klein, Hila Klein, H3 Podcast Highlights. Currently, TEI is best known for producing the podcast The H3 Show, or The H3 Podcast. Full episodes of The H3 Show are uploaded to the H3 Podcast YouTube channel. During the period when events relevant to this dispute occurred, TEI released 4 live broadcasts of The H3 Show a week. 3 of these episodes were available to the general public, but 1 was accessible only to paying members of the H3 Podcast YouTube channel. At that time, each podcast episode had a duration of approximately 3 hours and 30 minutes. The H3 Show provides comedic, frequently bombastic commentary on current events and public figures, primarily as it concerns the online community. The type of content posted to the H3 Productions channel is both similar and different to the type of content posted onto the H3 Podcast channel. Both the H3 Podcast and the H3 Productions channel discuss current events and public figures, primarily as it concerns the online community, in a comedic and a bombastic manner. The H3 Show, which is broadcast live, is much more free-form in structure, while content uploaded to the H3 Productions channel is scripted, highly edited, and usually contains visual effects. Both of us work together on videos for the H3 Productions channel. From June 2020 through January 2025, TEI did not upload content onto the H3 Productions channel, focusing solely on the H3 Show. We are proud to have shaped and protected fair use law as applied to online reaction videos. In 2016, we were sued in our individual capacities for copyright infringement, defamation, and misrepresentation under the Matt Hoss lawsuit. The copyright claim concerned a video uploaded to the now Hila Klein YouTube channel called The Big, the Bold, the Beautiful, the Klein video, which was a critical and humorous reaction to Matt Hoss' video Bold Guy vs. Parkour Girl, the Hoss video. We prevailed on summary judgment, and the district court published its decision as Hoss vs. Klein. Our backgrounds. We are high-profile Jewish Israeli-American online content creators. Hila was born in Israel, while Ethan was born in the United States. After we met in Israel nearly 20 years ago, Ethan decided to move to Israel to be with Hila. As a result, Ethan became a naturalized citizen of Israel. A large portion of Hila's immediate and extended family live in Israel. Shortly after turning 18, Hila was required to fulfill mandatory service in the Israel Defense Forces, IDF. She served in the IDF from 2006 to 2008. Upon enlistment, Hila was assigned a non-combat role. As such, she only received 1 month of basic training. In contrast, combat roles require anywhere from 4 months to a year of basic training. Throughout her mandatory service in the IDF, Hila served as a secretary. Initially, she was assigned to work at an IDF office in Tel Aviv, where she would commute to work while living with her parents. Hila experienced great difficulty connecting with the other soldiers in her office, and was at the age where she wanted to experience some independence from her family. As a result, she requested to be reassigned. When a request for reassignment is made, The soldier making the request is unable to select or provide any input on where they'll be reassigned, except that a non-combat soldier will not be assigned a combat role. Hila was reassigned to be secretary of the unit commander in the Duchy-Fat Battalion, which was based in Ramallah, located in the West Bank. During the period in which Hila served, the Duchy-Fat Battalion worked in coordination with the Palestinian Authority on security issues. Hila's duties included communications, scheduling, and general administrative duties. On one occasion, Hila's unit commander offered her to ride along on a patrol. Since Hila had not received combat training, she would have to do so in secret, as she was not authorized to do so under the IDF's rules and guidelines. Hila thought the experience would help her better understand the on-ground realities for both residents of Ramallah and the Duchy-Fat Battalion faced regularly, and provide insights that would help her perform her duties. Throughout the ride-along, Hila remained in the armoured vehicle. This was to ensure she would not get ensnared into a combat situation where she would be incapable of defending herself. On one occasion during the ride-along, Hila was escorted by several troops to view the location of the arrest of militants and their weapons cache. This survey was extremely brief, and Hila quickly returned to the armoured vehicle. On November 11, 2017, Ethan interviewed Hila and asked, amongst other things, about her service in the IDF. As a non-native English speaker who had recently moved to the United States, Hila sometimes struggled to convey her thoughts and properly express herself in English. While her proficiency in English has increased tremendously over the past few years, she still has moments where she must translate words from Hebrew into English to express herself properly. Despite being repeatedly accused of supporting and participating in the genocide of Palestinians, we have both been very outspoken in our criticism of the state of Israel and our support for Palestinian self-determination, even before October 17th. Below are some noteworthy examples. In the November 11, 2017 interview between Ethan and Hila, we had a nuanced conversation of the Israel-Palestine conflict, including expressing our strong criticism of the Israeli government and IDF. On December 8, 2020, Ethan conducted a conversation with his co-host at the time, Trisha Paytas, about the Israel-Palestine conflict. He explained why she should not be dismissive of the Free Palestine movement and helped her understand the Palestinian perspective of conflict, even referring to the situation as a genocide and apartheid. On May 15, 2021, Ethan made an Instagram post condemning Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. This occurred during the Unity Intifada that took place from May 10, 2021 through May 21, 2021. The post was made specifically in response to the IDF destroying the Al Jalal building, which housed Al Jazeera and the Associated Press. Below is a true and correct screenshot of Ethan's May 15, 2021 Instagram post, including Hila liking the post because of her agreement. The Israeli government is making me sick. Even if Hamas is operating out of a civilian building, it doesn't justify the total destruction of that building. It's inhumane. Netanyahu is a piece of shit warmonger and needs to go. As a dual citizen, I love Israel and the Israeli people. They deserve a government that actually believes in peace and not force and violence. The ultra-right Jewish settlers are among the greatest provocateurs in the world. They are shameless and hateful, fueled by religious zeal and enabled by the Israeli government. I wish the settling and repossession of Palestinian land would stop. I wish the bombing in Gaza would stop. Gazans deserve to live a life free of fear. For all of the crimes Hamas has committed, we must always remember that they are not Palestine. The Israeli government holds all of the power, and it is on them to stop the violence and show a true willingness for peace. After October 7th, 2023, we became even more vocal in our support for the Palestinian cause and condemning the actions of Israel. We spoke about the conflict in approximately 70 separate podcast episodes. Below are some notable examples. On October 12th, 2023, Ethan conducted a near 4-hour conversation about the conflict where he described Israel's actions against the Palestinians a genocide, openly wept recalling the image of a Palestinian father holding his dead infant child, and called Benjamin Netanyahu a war criminal, amongst many other statements showing support and empathy for the Palestinian people. On October 20th, 2023, Ethan and the crew discussed their hope to see a ceasefire and the atrocities end in Gaza. On November 25th, 2024, Ethan had an hour-and-a-half conversation with the Arab online content creator Lonabox about the history of the Israeli-Arab conflict. On May 23, 2025, Ethan had an hour-long conversation with Palestinian activist and scholar Ahmed Farab about pragmatic solutions to the conflict. Snark subreddits and the rise of H3 Snark. Snark subreddits are a relatively new genre of message boards on Reddit. There are numerous Snark subreddits, but they tend to share common characteristics. First, they are usually focused on a single public figure. Second, people who frequent Snark subreddits are compulsively obsessed with not just critiquing, but hating their target. They have received intense criticism in the media, being described as a form of cyberbullying, invasive of their subject, often getting details wrong, and engaging in harassment. The widow of the YouTuber Michaela Rains blamed her Snark subreddit for contributing to her suicide. Users of Snark subreddits, known as Snarkers, are fallen fans of the online content creator. Snarkers have a voracious appetite for hate-watching the content of the creator they target. Snarkers seek to consume pirated versions of said content to avoid supporting the creator with views, to deprive them of advertising revenue and visibility of the content in the algorithm. Snarkers frequently refer to this as ethical consumption. Prior to October 7th, Ethan hosted a political comedy podcast with the prominent leftist streamer Hassan Piker. After October 7th, friction grew between us and Hassan. While Ethan publicly stated Israel was committing a genocide in Gaza and condemned how Israel was conducting the war, we still advocated for a two-state solution and condemned political violence and terrorism. In contrast, Hassan justified political violence and terrorism and advocated for the immediate dismantling of the state of Israel, which we believed would also lead to genocide. In the wake of the public schism with Hassan, supporters of Hassan and his perspective began to attack both of us, calling us genocide supporters and even participants. As individuals who are deeply committed to Palestinian dignity and self-determination, this accusation disturbed us to our core. H3 Snark is a message board for our fallen fans. While H3 Snark was established before October 7th, it grew tremendously in prominence after the public schism between us and Hassan and became the central location to attack us. The most frequently levied criticism we received on H3 Snark was that we advocated the genocide of Palestinians and supported Israel's actions in Gaza. The posts were also used to target sponsors of TEI content by using misleading and edited clips to fuel fear and hatred. The creation of Content Nuke. Hassan Piker. Beginning in mid-October 2024, we reached a breaking point. We repeatedly witnessed Hassan radicalizing people to not be pro-Palestinian, but pro-terrorism. We were fed up with how H3 Snark was repeatedly branded us as genocide supporters and participants, despite all evidence to the contrary. As such, we decided to create a documentary that exposed how Hassan radicalizes individuals online to support terrorism against Jews and Israelis. Content Nuke Hassan Piker, the Nuke, was created over the course of several months, utilized a combination of comedy, commentary, archival materials, visual effects, audio effects, montage and editing to lampoon and criticize Hassan and the platform that enables him, Twitch. The duration of the nuke was that of a feature-length film, totaling 1 hour and 42 minutes. It was always our intention for TEI to register the nuke with the United States Copyright Office. It is our understanding that videos solely streamed over the internet must be registered as unpublished works. To properly protect the nuke, we knew we had to register it before its release. We strongly suspected that various streamers particularly those on Twitch, would attempt to stream the entirety of the nuke shortly or immediately after its release with insufficient commentary to justify such use. Indeed, the period of time immediately and shortly after a YouTube video is released is when it receives the greatest number of views. The deposit copy of the nuke submitted to the United States Copyright Office was nearly identical to the version broadcast to the public. The only differences were: 1. We had to blur footage of Ansar Allah, the Houthis hijacking the Galaxy Leader and its crew. 2. We had to black out footage of Hamas releasing Israeli hostages from November 2023. 3. The inclusion of the conclusion. And 4. Various minor visual changes. We marketed the release of the nuke frequently before its release on January 31st, 2025. We, particularly Ethan, discussed it frequently on the H3 show and released many Instagram stories about its development. As a result, the public interest in the video was immense, including on H3 Snark, for which we were grateful. The release of the nuke and the H3 show number 104, Countdown to Doomsday. Originally, the nuke was set to be released on January 30th, 2025. Due to a few frames from Hamas release of Israeli hostages in November 2023 still being visible, TEI did not release the nuke on January 30th, 2025, as it would result in the video being age restricted, which would limit the visibility and profitability of the video. On January 31st, 2025, at around 12:24 p.m, TEI began its live broadcast of the H3 show 104, Countdown to Doomsday, the Countdown episode, on the H3 podcast YouTube channel. The Countdown episode not only served to drum up interest in the release of the nuke, it covered various other current events and public controversies. The nuke would be released immediately upon the completion of the Countdown episode at 1:30 p.m. At 1:30 p.m, TEI released the nuke on the H3 Productions channel. Prior to the release, TEI did not authorize anyone to use the Countdown episode of the nuke, collectively the works, in any manner except for YouTube itself. Further, TEI never received a request from anyone to use the works in this manner. YouTube videos are monetized through advertising revenue. Every few minutes, YouTube plays advertisements over the video and the creator receives a share of the advertising revenue. The more views a YouTube video receives, the more advertising revenue it receives. Further, the more views a YouTube video receives, the more it gains traction in YouTube's algorithm, which increases the visibility of video and resulting views. Additionally, searches for a particular video on YouTube increases its traction in the algorithm as well. Finally, the greatest demand for a YouTube video is immediately and shortly after its release. The works were no different. Defendant Denims hosted a watch party of 1. The Countdown episode concurrently with its broadcast and nearly in its entirety, and 2. The nuke immediately after its release and in its entirety. Denims was not the only person to host a watch party of the nuke in its entirety immediately or minutes after its release. TEI is pursuing claims against Frogan and Caseytron for hosting watch parties of the nuke similar to Denims. The watch parties of Denims, Frogan, and Caseytron were promoted by the H3 Snark mods in various posts made on January 30th, 2025 through January 31st, 2025. Denim's watch party, along with the watch parties of Frogan and Caseytron, resulted in lost advertising revenue for the works. As such, TEI has sued 1. Denims for direct infringement and the H3 Snark mods for contributory infringement in an action titled TED Entertainment vs. Denims, Frogan for direct infringement and the H3 Snark mods for contributory infringement in an action titled TED Entertainment vs. Frogan, and Caseytron for direct infringement and the H3 Snark mods for contributory infringement in an action titled TED Entertainment vs. Caseytron. After discovering Denim's watch party of the Countdown episode, I requested that the Countdown episode be registered with the United States Copyright Office. Part 2. Facts relevant to the H3 Snark mods claims against us. The H3 Snark mods make countless claims in their declarations and in their motion against us. we recognize that, at first blush, they paint a grotesque and horrifying picture of us. Further, the sheer quantity of citations provides the impression that these claims are well sourced. Upon closer examination, however, the H3 Snark mod's assertions are comprised of falsehood, gross misrepresentations, and material omissions, much like the posts on H3 Snark. For example, they will frequently cite their own posts, posts by other subreddits, or other content creators that frame and clip TEI's content is a misleading matter. The apparent reason is that when viewed on its own and in context, TEI's content does not support their assertions or characterizations. When they do directly cite TEI's content, the timestamps provided are surgically made to omit material context that changes the entire meaning of the content. We have done our utmost to address as many of the H3 Snark mod's assertions as possible, but we could not address all. We have attempted to correct some of the most glaring, incendiary, or egregious assertions, which are addressed below. What the H3 Snark mods mean by criticism of us. The H3 Snark mod's testimony gives the impression that H3 Snark was a place to make playful and light-hearted jokes about us and the H3 show. Nothing could be further from the truth. H3 Snark became ground zero for accusing us and TEI employees of advocating and participating in Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people. If you search terms like Palestine, Israel, genocide, and Zionist on H3 Snark, there are countless posts and comments. As can be noted, only archival versions of some posts exist because many of the users who authored these posts deleted their accounts, including moderators. Ethan's legacy will be remembered as a supporter of genocide, a post with 695 upvotes and 9 comments. B. The truth behind Ethan's fears, a post with 202 upvotes and 8 comments. In the post, the author makes statements such as 1. Ethan seeks to appease his airhead wife, Hila Klein, who broke the Geneva Conventions by willingly participating in a raid in the West Bank she had no business being a part of while she was in the IDF. And 2. What isn't valid or legit, however, is his propensity to use these fears of anti-Semitism as a shield to absolve the state of Israel and Israeli citizens from the genocide they are currently committing against the Palestinian people. C. Zionism Megathread, the H3 podcast H3 show with Ethan and Hila Klein. A post with over 1,400 upvotes and 121 comments that was authored by a H3 Snark mod that deleted their account. In the post, the H3 Snark mod falsely states that Hila elected to have a more combat-focused role, and she volunteered to attend a raid of a Palestinian home and the kidnapping of terrorists in Palestine's city of Ramallah, which violated international peace treaties at the time, among other false statements. In the post, the H3 Snark mod falsely states that Hila elected to have a more combat-focused role and she volunteered to attend a raid of a Palestinian home and the kidnapping of terrorists in Palestine's city of Ramallah, which violated international peace treaties at the time, amongst other false statements. In the post, the H3 Snark mods compiled a series of links to other H3 Snark posts that provide out-of-context clips that are framed misleading titles, instead of direct links to TEI content so that users could view things in context and form their own opinion. D. I'm so sick of them pushing the narrative that Hila is just a shy person. The post had over 1,800 upvotes and 74 comments before being deleted. The archival version contains a picture of Hila with a caption that is depicted below. POV, you are usually shy, but not shy enough to be a genocide denier and partake in terrorist raids. E. Proof of Ethan being a Zionist megathreat. A post with 110 upvotes and 8 comments. In the post, the author falsely stated Ethan was defending Israel and the IDF, ignoring the Palestinian genocide, and acting so callously towards Palestinians, targeting Muslims online in unhinged Islamophobic rants, and still having the audacity to cry anti-Semitism when people call him out. F. Ethan and Hila are Zionists. a post with 203 upvotes and 2 comments. The title is followed by the false statement, because they believe in a Jewish state in Israel, which means Palestine should not exist. And it has everything to do with their political stance on Israel, which in turn signals their support of the genocide. G. He's never beating the genocide apologist allegations. A post with over 1,400 upvotes and 204 comments with the following screenshot. Yoav Gallant, Israeli Defense Minister, calls for genocide. There will be no electricity, no food, no fuel. We are fighting human animals and we act accordingly. This quote is from October 8th and is a direct response to October 7th terror attacks. I think it's a reasonable assumption that he was talking about the Hamas militants that killed civilians the day before. Either way, this is the guy in Bibi's war cabinet that wanted to end the war, and he was just fired. If you care about war ending, then you agree with Hila and Yoav Gallant. H. What has been happening for the past year, every single day, as Ethan defends Zionism and the genocidal ethno-state committing these massacres? A post with 158 upvotes and 6 comments. It's honestly so hypocritical of Ethan to talk about whitewashing when he's doing that for a genocide. A post with 266 upvotes. J. Ethan does not support Palestine and is lying that he does. A post with 986 upvotes and 41 comments. K. While Hila, I deny that Klein, is donating to Israeli artists and denying genocide, here's her brother Moses talking about the genocide. Their glow-up is so heartwarming. A post with 679 upvotes and 23 comments. L. Imagine not apologizing profusely after denying a genocide. A post with 203 upvotes and 8 comments and is specifically about Hila. M. Ethan is weaponizing anti-communist misinformation and a genocide own tankies because they've been calling him out for his defense of Israel's genocide in Gaza. A post with 210 upvotes and 4 comments. The post states, Ethan Klein is trying to hide his own complicity in genocide by weaponizing another genocide and anti-communist misinformation to own tankies who are calling him out for his genocide apologia and complicity. When my Zionist bosses denied genocide. A post with 517 upvotes and 43 comments. Oh, why Ethan and Hila are not pro-Palestine? A post with 663 upvotes and 49 comments. The H3 Snark mods claim that live chats were innocuous and that they deleted them to protect user privacy. This is misleading in the extreme. It is far more accurate to state that they were concealing vicious attacks against us and our employees. As the screenshots of the live chat demonstrate, both H3 Snark mods and users would attack 1. Hila as B, a participant in genocide because of her mandatory service in the IDF 20 years ago. 2. Ethan for his Tourette tics and other immutable characteristics, in which they regularly characterized as drug addiction or mental illness. 3. Our Arab employees as being race traitors. And 4. Our sponsors. A compilation of true and correct screenshots of the H3 Snark Chat live chat from early to mid-September 2024 is attached here too and incorporated herein as Exhibit 70. Some of the statements made in H3 Snark live chat are set forth below. A. Hila is a literal war criminal. B. Mandatory service. I swear I read stories of people dodging. C. Ethan is acting like he did something special by picking up his mail-order terrorist bride. D. He's a big fat pig. E. All they taught Hila in school was how to throw trash at brown people. F. She served her duty to her illegal colony. G. Hila doesn't believe Palestinians are human. I doubt Ethan does also. H. I wanted to say she was just following orders so bad. I. Ethan has a lockbox full of crew spines. That's the only reason I can think of to excuse the wormy, spineless shit I am hearing. J. Yeah, they are literally war criminals. K. She was born hating Palestinians, so there's no way she can change. L. Hila might just be the most vile human in history. M. AB needs to get off his knees. AB is a reference to TEI's Lebanese American employee. N. AB is unfixable. O. AB has brain damage, I swear to God. P. If I were AB's Lebanese family, I would be so disappointed in him. Q. Zach is smelly, like a wee dog. Zach is a reference to TEI's Jewish American employee. R. Who is so annoying and gross. Fuck them. S. Hila is a terrorist. T. Oh fuck Zach's annoying ass. This is the type of criticism the H3 Snark mods claim requires a safe space. The critics of H3 Snark mods claim we targeted and the nature of their criticism. The Snark mods make numerous assertions that we target our critics. Rarely do they specify the nature of the criticism. Unsurprisingly, these critics also accuse us of advocating and participating in the genocide of Palestinians or other false claims. Noah Samson, the H3 Snark mods claim Ethan threatened to sue Samson for defamation for critiquing his political views, and that both of us called critics terrorists and terrorist supporters. Samson made a video entitled "The YouTubers Who Backed a Genocide" with the following screenshot prominently displaying Ethan. In the video, Samson expressly misrepresents his sources or relies on highly biased sources to claim various YouTubers support the genocide of the Palestinian people. In one instance, Samson cited a video where the YouTuber expressly stated he was against the genocide occurring in Gaza. Our lawyer sent Samson a highly detailed letter explaining how the video was defamatory, which Ethan read on the podcast. Samson openly admits to supporting terrorism and terrorist organizations like Ansar Allah, the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah, frequently calling them resistance fighters and attacking anyone who calls them terrorists. Anthony Milhouse Sargon, the H3 Snark mods cite Sargon's Do Not Worry podcast as an example of us instructing our fans comment on or report content from his enemies. In a now deleted podcast episode, Sargon watched footage of Israeli civilians screaming while fleeing from rocket attacks and stated, "The screams, they are music to my ears." On February 7th, 2025, we criticized Sargon for his reaction. North Star Radio, aka Comrade Casey. The H3 Snark mods cite North Star Radio as an example of us doxxing, i.e. releasing non-public personal identifying information and vilifying individuals who participated in H3 Snark. In the video cited by the H3 Snark mods, Ethan reads a post connecting a Reddit user account with North Star Radio. Ethan, spelled wrong, then critiques North Star Radio for making posts attacking Ethan and his parents. For example, one was entitled, "Ethan is a scumbag genocide denier, IDF simp Israel defender. And don't try to tell me I only think that because he's Jewish. I think that's because he's a genocide denier, IDF simp Israel defender." For example, one was entitled, "Pass Animated" or Ethan's Basement. The H3 Snark mods use Ethan's Basement as an example of threatening and doxing a critic over a thumbnail critical of Ethan. Ethan's Basement used to re-upload TEI's members-only content, i.e. content accessible only to paying members of the H3 podcast channel. Ethan's Basement contribution to the re-uploaded TEI's members-only content was simple, primarily static animation with no commentary laid over the audio of the podcast. After receiving backlash from our paying members, we requested that Ethan's Basement stop re-uploading this content as it upsets our paying members. Ethan's Basement did not take the loss of revenue well and soon started attacking us. The thumbnail in question was from June 7, 2025 and falsely depicted a doctored screenshot of Ethan stating Palestine doesn't have the right to exist. Below is a true and correct screenshot of the thumbnail. Ethan emailed Ethan's Basement after seeing the thumbnail and requested the caption be changed. In the email, Ethan expressly stated, "You can criticize me, but don't lie." A true and correct screenshot of Ethan's email is below. "You need to change that thumbnail ASAP. Send me confirmation when it's changed." Ethan's Basement responds, "Thumbnail updated, boss." Ethan responds, "We both know the part you highlighted is intentionally misleading. You can criticize me, but don't lie. I want to be polite and give you the chance to fix it, but you should know that lying about someone being pro-genocide is defamation, and besides that, it's fucked up. Change it or remove the highlighted section, and do not do that shit again, please." Queen in Yellow is an account on X, the H3 Snark mods cite Queen in Yellow as an example of us threatening to dox critics. Queen in Yellow regularly supports the fraudulent call made to the Los Angeles County Department of Child and Family Services and DCFS taking our children. Queen in Yellow baselessly claims that we lied about skulls sent to our office in the wake of the DCFS investigation. They also issued death threats to Ethan and even our lawyer, calling him a valid military target. Below are true and correct screenshots of both posts. The Friends detractors. The H3 Snark mods claim that Ethan posted the wedding photos of the family and friends of one of his friends' detractors. Harley Morenstein is our good friend and a well-known Jewish-Canadian online creator, best known for the show Epic Mealtime. While at a music festival, two individuals approached him. Morenstein made a tweet identifying these individuals and what they said to him. To support, Ethan identified these individuals online and brought attention to the matter, much like what happened to individuals chanting, "Jews will not replace us," in Charlottesville in 2017. Matt Lieb. The H3 Snark mods claim Lieb is an example of a Jewish creator who disagree with Ethan politically and we attacked for contributing to H3 Snark. Lieb platformed Bad Empanada and praised his attacks on us. Bad Empanada made countless videos attacking us and labeling us supporters and participants in the genocide of Palestinians. He streamed himself, playing a third-person shooter where the player plays as a Hamas terrorist and is banned in most gaming stores while he pretended to hunt down Hila. Bad Empanada was instrumental in disseminating the false assertion that our children were eating dog feces, amongst other falsehoods, which led to the fraudulent call to the DCFS investigating us for child abuse and neglect. Bad Empanada has even taken credit for making the fraudulent phone call to DCFS and engaged in other acts of intimidation against us. We criticized Lieb for platforming and praising Bad Empanada in the wake of the DCFS investigation. Taylor Lorenz. The H3 Snark mods cite Lorenz to assert we knowingly allowed her stalker to make comments on the H3 production subreddit. This is completely false. Prior to Lorenz's post, we had no idea that she even had a stalker, let alone the stalker was on the H3 production subreddit. It was the H3 production subreddit that came together to identify Lauren's stalker to ban him. Upon discovering the user's identity, we immediately banned the user. Lorenz has a reputation for making false statements, the most notable of which led to the Washington Post terminating her. In that instance, she posted a selfie at a White House press conference with President Joe Biden with the caption, "War Criminal." As reported by NPR, she was terminated, willfully misleading editors by claiming she was not responsible for the post. Lorenz has also advocated political violence. After somebody killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, Lorenz made a series of posts on X endorsing the assassination and advocating the murder of other executives. After receiving backlash, she walked back her statements by claiming for the first time she was encouraging a letter-writing campaign. Kat Tenbaj. The H3 Snark mods cite Tenbaj's article on the copyright lawsuits TEI filed as evidence we incite harassment. Prior to being terminated by NBC News, Tenbaj was a journalist. After her termination, she transitioned to become an opinion blogger. The blog post cited by H3 Snark mods is clearly not intended as objective journalism. Rather, it is intended to advance Tenbaj's narrative that TEI's lawsuits are misogynistic merely because it named 3 women as defendants. In response, we provided our opinion critiquing Tenbaj's blog post. Like Lorenz, Tenbaj has a reputation for sacrificing honesty for ideology. She is currently being sued for defamation due to falsely stating an advocate of sexual assault survivors disclosed sealed court and police records on a victim when the documents were public. Sam Cedar. The H3 Snark mods cite Cedar as an example of Ethan spinning the criticism he receives or criticism of Zionism and Israel. The H3 Snark mod citation is to a comment by Cedar during a discussion Ethan had with Cedar and does not support this assertion whatsoever. Frequently, Cedar appeared surprised at how often he and Ethan agreed with each other, including Ethan describing Israel's conduct in Gaza as a genocide and condemning Benjamin Netanyahu. The H3 Snark mods omit what precipitated the comments they cite from Cedar. Ethan showed Cedar a clip of Hassan stating any kind of fucking Zionist tendencies should be treated in the same way as being a fucking rabid neo-Nazi. And you shouldn't even let someone be the local dog catcher, as Felix was posting, if they exhibit any sort of positive feelings for the state of Israel. In response, Cedar attempted to reframe the discussion as conflating Zionism and Judaism. Despite this, Ethan calmly and respectfully engaged directly with Cedar's perspective, who frequently interrupted Ethan. This demonstrates Ethan's openness and willingness to engage directly in perspectives different to his own, which contradicts the H3 Snark mod's characterization. The H3 Snark mods cite Private Citizen as an example of targeting someone who criticized Hila's tattoo on Instagram. The Star of David has been a widely recognized symbol of Judaism since the 14th century. After posting a picture of the Jewish tattoo on Instagram, she received hateful and bizarre comments. Private Citizen left the comment, "Man, I remember being obsessed with you guys when you only had 15k subs on YouTube. Glad that's behind me. Enjoy hell." Ethan clicked on Private Citizen's Instagram profile and viewed their public pictures while critiquing Private Citizen. None of the evidence cited by H3 Snark mods support the assertion that our fans made a bomb threat, sent her minor threats of sexual assault, or leaked intimate photos. On the contrary, one of the H3 Snark mods' own citations indicates that it was likely a publicity stunt. Later in the same thread, a screenshot from another Snark page showed the claims of threats were a joke. Aubrey Smalls. The H3 Snark mods cite Aubrey as an example of how the majority of the H3 podcast is devoted to the harassment of others. Aubrey is a little person who created a documentary advocating for little people. On July 22nd, 2022, Aubrey posted on the H3 production subreddit requesting to appear on the show to confront someone with a phobia of little people and discuss dwarfism representation. On August 1st, 2022, we broadcasted a pre-recorded episode that fulfilled Aubrey's request. After his appearance, he sent us an email speaking very positively about the experience. Aubrey even made a post on the H3 production subreddit that said thank you to Ethan, the crew, and everyone in chat for being so welcoming and respectful. In late December 24, when it became fashionable to attack us, Aubrey claimed his appearance on the podcast was a horrible experience. He claimed he was used as a bit and that we made fun of him. On January 6, 25, we addressed and debunked Aubrey's claims by sharing his correspondence and the H3 production subreddit post stating that it was a wonderful experience to correct the public record. Mika's Rhetoric. On December 11, 24, Mika's Rhetoric made a video about us and TEI's employees. Prior to this video, we were unaware of Mika's Rhetoric and never engaged with her content. On January 6, 25, Ethan and the podcast crew critiqued Mika Rhetoric's video. The examples cited by the H3 Snark mods are from Mika's Rhetoric's original video from December 24. Before our reaction on the examples cited by the H3 Snark mods are from Mika's Rhetoric's original video from December 24, i.e. before our reaction on January 6th, 25. It solely comprises of Mika's Rhetoric speculating on the response to her video, not anything that actually happened. The H3 Snark mods failed to provide a single example of our fans responding to Mika's video by trying to get her to quit YouTube. Faux-moi. The H3 Snark mods cite the subreddit of Faux-moi as an example of another subreddit receiving similar threats from us. They describe themselves as cultural zeitgeist archivists. Originally a gossip subreddit, it mutated into a Snark community with a far left bent that is repeatedly accused of bullying, group harassment, and rewarding cruelty and derision. A recent digital forensic investigation by the publication Pirate Wires revealed that Faux-moi is now controlled by anti-Israel, anti-Western Marxist group of moderators. On February 17th, 2025, Ethan reviewed several very recent posts from Faux YouTube drama, and there was an attempt in the wake of us criticizing Hassan in the news. All of the posts were from the preceding days, i.e. February 7th to 15th, 2025. The posts from Faux that Ethan discussed are described below. Comprehensive list of all of Ethan Klein's most controversial, outrageous, and vile moments. The post was from February 15th, 25, and received over 6,000 upvotes and 228 comments. It contained a list attributing incendiary statements about us and solely cited 1. H3 Snark, 2. Another Snark subreddit, H3H3_productions, or 3. Clips uploaded by third parties. None of the links were to TEI content. This was intentional, as viewing any of the statements in context and without being framed beforehand would lead to materially different impression. This post was also reposted by H3 Snark. Resurfaced video of Ethan Klein joking about a little girl being raped by Big Black Man / Blackzilla. This post has now been deleted. It concerned a series of our reaction videos from 10 years ago criticizing the music producer Patrice Wilson, who made music videos featuring highly sexualized preteen girls. Hila and Ethan Klein practicing anti-Semitism in Israel. This post was from February 12, 2025 and received over 5,800 upvotes and 349 comments. It took a clip from a 10-year-old video of one of our visits to Israel. As Jewish individuals, we were offering an internal critique of the strict attire required by some ultra-Orthodox sects, a view shared by many secular, feminist, and modern Orthodox communities. Poking fun at ourselves does not compare to the clear Jew hatred we identified in the news. Faux attempted to minimize us pointing out this anti-Semitism by painting us as anti-Semitic. This is a tactic often used by non-Jews to dismiss criticism and police our speech. Hila Klein, who is a big fan of Yoav Gallant and whose husband liberally uses the N-word, is stunned to learn a new artist doesn't want to be associated with her company. This post from February 11th, 2025, and has over 4,900 upvotes and 426 comments. It contains numerous falsehoods and misleading statements. First, Hila never said she was a big fan of Yoav Gallant. Rather, after Benjamin Netanyahu fired him, Hila commented that he was a good guy because he wanted to end the war. We tried to explain what she said, and Hila publicly apologized for her word choice. Second, Ethan does not use the N-word at all and has not done so for years. Rather, this is a common tactic used by Snark to use an isolated clip from 2017 and make it appear recent. In the clip, Ethan repeats that the interviewee's fans call themselves, and Ethan has since publicly apologized for using the word. Further, the artist who no longer wanted to work with Hila was a longtime friend whose art was in our home. Finally, the post misleadingly claims Hila's statement about Yoav Gallant was the cause of the disassociation. Hila's statement about Gallant was made 3 months prior. If that statement was the cause, the disassociation would have happened when Hila made the statement. H3H3, Ethan and Hila's nanny, files lawsuit against them alleging she was fired 2 days after she asked for time off to go get and recover from hernia surgery. H3H3, Ethan and Hila Klein's nanny filed a lawsuit against them alleging she was fired 2 days after she asked for time off to get and recover from hernia surgery. This post is from February 7th, 2025 and has over 4,600 upvotes and 279 comments. We first learned that our former housekeeper sued us because of this post, not because we were served or otherwise informed of the lawsuit. This highlights the obsessive nature of Snark subreddits, as they wanted to know facts about our personal lives before we knew it ourselves. Second, the allegation is completely false. We terminated our former housekeeper because she regularly body shamed our nanny, calling her fat. We made multiple attempts to get her to stop, even bringing in human resources, but she persisted in creating a hostile work environment for our nanny. FOMOA is an exponentially larger subreddit than H3Snark. While there was an occasional post about us on FOMOA before February 2025, the number increased tremendously in February 2025. We realized that the increase in posts was because two moderators of Hassan's subreddit, r_Hassan_Piker, were moderators of FOMOA. Since the nuke was released on January 31st, 2025, the increase in posts attacking us was likely in retaliation for the nuke, addressing what the H3Snark mods claim we said and did to them. Important definitions. To begin, it may be helpful to provide our definitions for snark-brained, particularly in the examples cited by the H3Snark mods. A. Snark, to us. Snark is a philosophy that believes demonizing us advances Palestinian liberation from Israel. It adopts the approach of no bad means, only bad targets. Since we are viewed as good targets, any and all means can be used to attack us. We do not use the term solely to refer to H3Snark. We also use the term to refer to H3Snark's successor, Leftovers H3, and other individuals who adopt this mentality, as it is not just confined to those subreddits. B. Snark-brained. The term snark-brained is equivalent to saying someone has drunk the Kool-Aid regarding snark. It is to express a lack of critical thinking and cultish behavior that snarkers exhibit. As evidence that we threatened the H3Snark mod since 2023, they cite a podcast episode from October 31st, 2023, i.e. 3 weeks from October 7th. A. In the episode, which is entitled Responding to Hila Conspiracy Theories, see you next Tuesday number 50, we go line by line dissecting a post on H3Snark, post entitled Hila lied about her role and position in the IDF. The now deleted post falsely claims that Hila served a combat role in the IDF. The post contained numerous hyperlinks, but they were irrelevant or did not support the assertions made, which we demonstrated in the video. B. In the episode, we also addressed several of the other posts on H3Snark, claiming we advocated and participated in the genocide of Palestinian people. Not only does this demonstrate that we were willing to directly engage with criticism, it proves that when H3Snark promotes falsehoods about us, they call it criticism, but when we respond to and debunk their criticism, it is a threat, harassment, or abuse. The H3Snark mods claim we created subreddits to harass or troll them is false. The only subreddit we created was H3Snark and acquired the subreddit Hassan_Piker. Both were intended to be experiments. We wanted to know whether the Reddit admins would show preferential treatment to H3Snark and Hassan's subreddit Hassan_Piker. We were proven correct. Reddit banned H3Snark not for harassment, but for impersonating H3Snark. Ownership of H3Snark was transferred to a moderator of H3Snark named Shredded Cheese. A cruel reference to the false conspiracy theory that we killed our beloved dog Shredder by feeding him cheese. The same thing happened to Hassan_Piker, i.e. its ownership was transferred to someone involved in Hassan_Piker under the claim of impersonation. In the video cited by the H3Snark mods, Ethan only discussed H3Snark and that we used it for the experiment described above. Snark engaged in coordinated harassment. The H3Snark mods claim we falsely stated that they coordinated harassment. The example they provide is from the April 21st, 2025 podcast. First, this episode came out after H3Snark locked the subreddit on February 17th, 25, i.e. we were not referring to the H3Snark mods. B. Second, in the episode, Ethan discusses a video by Elise Tran entitled To H3Snarkers Harassing Me. In the video, Tran explains that she is a teacher in France and a leftist who was harassed by snarkers, even going so far as to contact her employer because she simply expressed support for us. In the podcast episode, Ethan discusses how snarkers attacked Tran is the same way they attacked us. The H3 Snark mod citation completely omits the discussion on Tran to make it appear as an unfounded and unhinged statement. We conflated a moderator from Leftovers H3 with them. The H3 Snark mods claim we conflated Bad Empanada becoming a moderator for Leftovers H3 with being a moderator for H3 Snark. Again, they cite the April 21st, 2025 podcast episode, They Sent 2 Human Skulls to My House, H3 Show 138. As previously stated, this episode came out after the H3 Snark mods locked H3 Snark. The timing makes it clear we were referring to H3 Snark's successor, Leftovers H3. B. Further, when viewed in context, it is apparent that we are critiquing the outlandish conspiracy theories, Bad Empanada, shipping skulls to ourselves, a vicious theory advanced in the H3 Snark mods declarations. Some of this is apparent from the portion cited by the H3 Snark mods, but most of the context is omitted to make it appear we were talking about the H3 Snark mods. We publicly threatened to use litigation as a means to discover them so that they would lose everything. To support this assertion, the H3 Snark mods do not cite anything we said. Rather, they cite Hassan's description of the letter our lawyer sent to user during his debate with Ethan, which further demonstrates that we are open to and engage with criticism. While Hassan characterized the claim against user as frivolous, he also admitted he knew nothing about the claim. Further, his only citation was from user post on X, which omitted significant portions of the letter, including its legal and factual analysis. In other words, we never made this admission or statement. Rather, it was a statement Hassan made about us. We claim everyone who criticizes us of visiting H3 Snark. The H3 Snark mod citation does not support this assertion. First, they cite a video broadcast on May 30th, 2025, i.e. after H3 Snark was locked, but when its successor, Leftovers H3, was active. Second, in the excerpt, Ethan accuses Hassan, and not anyone else, of relying on Leftovers H3 to prepare for the debate. Instead of admitting or denying, Hassan deflects by accusing Ethan of placing responsibility for the fraudulent call to DCFS on Snark. In sum, the only person accused of relying on Snark was Hassan, and, when given the opportunity to address the issue, he elected to evade and not answer. We hired someone to stalk them and other targets. The H3 Snark mod citation does not support this assertion whatsoever. In the podcast episode, we respond to a claim for our former friend made against our researcher and colleague Galia. As explained in portions omitted by the H3 Snark mods, Galia is a refugee from the war in Ukraine and an incredibly talented researcher. Her investigations are solely confined to publicly available information. It is a prime example being snark-brained to describe following a public digital footprint as a form of stalking. Ethan has claimed that if not for H3 Sana, he would be not suing the 3 main creators named in these complaints. The H3 Snark mod citation does not support this statement whatsoever. The actual statement made by Ethan is, Snarkbrain is such a serious disease. We're seeing it time and time again, and frankly, it's landed these 3 I'm suing in really troubled waters. You guys gotta get out of that. And this is just from a person to person. I care for your humanity. It makes you think what you're doing is normal. We threaten to call the FBI on H3 Snark mods. The H3 Snark mod citation does not support this assertion. Rather, the citation involves a discussion about how IP address information is obtained. The conversation distinguishes between civil cases, which requires a subpoena, and criminal investigations, which the FBI would pursue. The conversation mainly focuses on subpoenaing a IP address in the context of a sexual predator on. The only mention of Snark is a fake post on H3 Snark, claiming that we were taking down Happy Ramadan posts on H3 Productions, known as the Ramadan Post. There was no mention of calling the FBI on H3 Snark mods. We claim that Snark is dangerous. This citation is a prime example of the H3 Snark mods deliberately omitting material context. First, the video is cited from June 9th, 2025, i.e. after H3 Snark prevented further posts. It is clear we are referring to Leftovers H3. B. Second, Ethan discusses how 1. Leftovers H3 targeted the online creator Willie Mac Show because they did not like his criticism, and that he received a $600 donation. 2. When Willie Mac Show sought to engage with Leftovers H3, he was banned and sent the message by a moderator, "Keep yourself safe," a phrase used as code for KYS or kill yourself in online circles. And 3. Willie Mac Show was subsequently banned from all Reddit. Due to these facts, Ethan speculates that there must be collusion between Reddit and Snark subreddits in general, because it is inexplicable why they continue to exist while critics of Snark subreddits like Willie Mac Show are banned. We called them Snark brain freaks about concerns of violence that made the threat feel imminent. This is another example of Snark brain thinking, as explained below. First, the excerpt cited is from February 5th, 2025. If this was a threat of imminent violence, it would have already occurred. The fact that no violence has materialized for months emphasizes that we were correct. Their perception of an actual and imminent threat was snark-brained. Second, in the excerpt, Hassan tries to brush off concerns about the violence of Frogan's statement, where she wished to build a cake, recreating September 11th, if her community reached a donation goal. Instead, Hassan deflects by focusing on Ethan's prior controversial statements about the NRA and Ben Shapiro. Ironically, Ethan made fun of himself for making both of the statements in the nuke, which was released just a few days prior. Further, immediately after making the NRA comment, Ethan immediately took it back and apologized for going too far. To take responsibility and to avoid incidents like this happening in the future, TEI invested in The Button, a $20,000 device that would erase the prior 20 seconds of a live broadcast to avoid issues happening again. We expressed a desire to know what they looked like. Simply put, we don't know why the H3 Snark mods provided this citation, because nowhere do we state anything about their appearance or wanting to know what they look like. We accused them of doxing. This citation is an example of the H3 Snark mods intentionally omitting context. In the episode cited, Ethan discussed 1. A H3 Productions mod banned from Reddit for reporting 2 posts, one for doxing and the other for harassment. 2. The first post was to organize people to attend and disrupt one of our live events, which was a major threat to the physical safety of TEI's employees and ourselves. And 3. The other directed harassment towards Hila's mum. Further, in December 2024, the H3 Snark mods did dox us and our employees. We obtained screenshots from the H3 Snark mods Discord server that disclosed the addresses for TEI's studio and for our clothing company, Teddy Fresh. We have not publicly disclosed these addresses to protect ourselves and our employees. From the screenshots, we also discovered that the user who disclosed the address, Choco Banana, was banned from our Discord server in July 2021 for spamming Gore and using sock puppet accounts to threaten his way back onto the server. We accuse them of crimes, covering up crimes, and pinning actions of past mods on them. This excerpt cited by the H3 Snark mods does not discuss crimes or covering up crimes whatsoever, nor do the H3 Snark mods specify who was a past mod that we confused as being a current mod. Rather, when viewed in context, the excerpt discusses 1. An H3 Snark mod making a post claiming we were removing Happy Ramadan posts from H3 Productions, which was false. 2. Messages from December 2024 demonstrating that the H3 Snark mods knew the post was fake. And 3. The incident discussed above. Ethan wore a fishing hat in the video discussing the subpoena to signal that the subpoenas were a fishing expedition. This another prime example of snark brain thinking. In the video, our subpoena was approved for Reddit and Discord mods identity. H3 show number 174. Ethan wore a Teddy Fresh bucket hat. Ethan almost always wears Teddy Fresh merchandise on the podcast to promote our clothing company. He has worn a variety of Teddy Fresh hats, including beanies, baseball caps, and bucket hats. Further, the H3 Snark mods knew we were not on a fishing expedition. As discussed in greater detail in the Declaration of Rombanism, we agreed that several substantial changes to the subpoenas to narrow their scope to focus solely on obtaining their personal identifying information, to name them in the 3 copyright actions and serve them. We plan on killing them. The H3 Snark mods continue their demonization of us by claiming we plan on killing them. One even uses Ethan making a joke by quoting the film Taken as evidence of his intent. Not only is this false, it highlights how the H3 Snark mods turn us into grotesque caricatures to strip us of our humanity. In one of the video's most frequently cited videos by the H3 Snark mods from February 19, 2025, Ethan and TI's producer, Dan, made clear: 1. Only legal means shall be employed against the H3 Snark mods. 2. Fans should not contact, dox, or threaten the H3 Snark mods. And 3. Not to physically harm them. To be clear, we genuinely do no wish any physical harm to the H3 Snark mods. We are responsible for threatening messages to them by third parties. The H3 Snark mods attribute threatening messages they received to us. This is false. A. First, we have not and do not condone any contact with the H3 Snark mods and have expressly stated no one should contact them. We take the responsibility of having a large audience seriously. Despite how they have treated us, we do not wish them to suffer in the same way. B. Second, none of the messages provided can be attributed to our community whatsoever. Some of the messages the H3 Snark mods received are from deleted users, rendering it impossible to determine if they were involved in the H3 Productions subreddit or were some random troll. When looking up the Reddit user, there are no results, which also makes it impossible to determine whether they were involved in the H3 Productions subreddit or some random troll. The user has not participated in the H3 Productions subreddit whatsoever. The user has also not participated in the H3 Productions subreddit whatsoever, and his message was from 10 months ago. Moreover, the language in these messages do not provide any indication that they were from our community, as opposed to some anonymous online troll. C. Finally, the H3 Snark mods give no indication when these screenshots were taken, and most are anywhere from 3 to 10 months from an unknown date. The H3 Snark mods cites 2 instances where Ethan and the crew utilized comedic rhetorical hyperbole as if they were literal threats. The nature of the H3 show has always been comedically bombastic, and using colourful language is part of that. We do recognise that, for some, the word choice may appear in bad taste. Under no circumstances, however, are they intended to be taken literally. Each of these comments are discussed as below. Sending anthrax. This statement was not about the H3 Snark mods at all. It was a joke Ethan made on another podcast where the co-hosts were discussing how they, not Ethan, deal with internet hate. Everyone on the show interpreted it as a joke by laughing afterwards. Ironically, immediately after the discussion on internet hate, the co-hosts and Ethan discuss how to address criticism, spraying Nair on their faces. This was a joke made by TEI's employee Tom Ward. In the episode where Ward made his statement, there was a previous discussion about how Brandi Glanville of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills sprayed Nair on her face in an attempt to kill a facial parasite. Ward's statement was a joke referring to that prior discussion and was made in reference to Ethan's satisfaction at the H3 Snark mods proverbially delivering themselves to him. Given the surrounding hyperbolic language used by Ethan and the crew about how the H3 Snark mods were delivering themselves on a silver, gold, or platinum platter, it was clearly intended as a joke. To dispel all doubt, we have no intention to physically harm the H3 Snark mods whatsoever, let alone spray Nair on their faces. Feasting on ashes. This was immediately before Ward's joke about Nair, and also intended as a hyperbolic joke. He subsequently changes the statement to, "I will feast on this juicy morsel of a meal you've laid out for me," further emphasizing it was intended as comedy. Collaboration with Reddit admins. The H3 Snark mods frequently raise our claims that the H3 Snark mods and Reddit admins were working together. We drew this conclusion in part from statements the H3 Snark mods themselves have made as demonstrated below. A. our suspicions first arose in the late fall, early winter of 2023. We created a subreddit called H3Snark, i.e. a subreddit dedicating to criticizing and mocking H3Snark. Shortly after creating the subreddit, it was suspended under the false claim we were impersonating H3Snark. Further, ownership of H3Snark was transferred to a user of H3Snark called Shredder Cheese, which is a reference to a heartless rumor spread on H3Snark that we killed our dog Shredder by feeding him cheese. B. We grew more suspicious when individuals were banned or threatened with bans when reporting some of the most incendiary posts on H3Snark under the pretense of abusing Reddit's reporting function. C. In November 24, Hila's management company reached out to Reddit about H3Snark. Shortly thereafter, H3Snark was taken down. Within a few days, it went live again. The H3Snark mods made a pinned community post announcing the subreddit's return, stated, "Our relationship with Reddit is currently better than ever, and we're in good communication with the admins." The November 2024 announcement. The H3Snark mod's November 24 announcement led us to believe that Reddit and the admins were actively protecting and enabling H3Snark. A true and correct screenshot of the November 24 announcement is depicted below. H3Snark mod announcement. We're back after a much needed break. We're just a group of volunteers, and we appreciate your patience while we took some time to recharge. What happened? As some of you may know, Ethan has been threatening to sue us for over a year. In March, he contacted Reddit threatening to sue them and their CEO live on air, which led to Reddit admins instructing us to adjust rules 3 and 4. Going forward, follow the rules. We've noticed a lot of new users not following the rules. Please take a moment to review them. No more discussions or mentions of Bad Empanada. We cannot endorse this creator due to the risk he poses to the sub's future. We've restricted others like Red Bar before. Why we're doing this? We're focused on protecting our community's future. Our relationship with Reddit is currently better than ever, and we're in good communication with the admins. We want to maintain that. This is non-negotiable. Please stick to the rules, or you're welcome to find another community. Thanks for your understanding and support. Feel free to share your favorite conspiracy theories about our break in the comments below. D. Further leading us to the conclusion Reddit was actively protecting H3Snark is that Reddit's admins never reached out or contacted us, despite the H3H3 production subreddit being one of the top 5 largest and most active subreddits for podcasts. It was inexplicable that Reddit admins would reach out and provide guidance to H3Snark, but not us. E. Our suspicions grew after the issues we encountered with TEI's DMCA takedowns against H3Snark. We found it deeply concerning that the Reddit admins would forward to TEI a facially fraudulent DMCA counter notification. While the Reddit admins ultimately agreed that this counter notification was invalid, they responded by claiming one of our DMCA takedowns was invalid because it was for a link to a video on our YouTube channel. The DMCA takedown, however, specified that it was for a comment posted by a user who is one of the H3Snark mods that contained a YEUTUBE link, not the post itself. These issues are explained in greater detail in the Declaration of Rombanism. F. Furthering our suspicions was that one of the H3Snark mods claimed to be a Reddit employee. One of the H3Snark mods identified in the complaints TEI filed is user. After the complaints were filed, user admitted that the complaints accurately identified the user's alt accounts and also claimed to be a Reddit employee. This emphasized our belief that the H3Snark mods were working directly with Reddit's admins. G. The declaration of H3Snark mods reinforced our belief that they had a close relationship with Reddit's admins, stating themselves that the Reddit admins offered us free subscriptions to privacy software that would help remove our PII from the internet. Other falsehoods contained in the H3Snark mods declarations. We sent human skulls to ourselves to elicit sympathy. One of the most disturbing claims asserted by the H3Snark mods against us is that we were responsible for sending 2 real human skulls to ourselves shortly after being investigated DCFS based on a fraudulent phone call. A. When the social worker visited our home for the first time on March 7, 2025, He informed us that DCFS received a call from someone claiming to work inside our home who witnessed our child eating dog feces. This is what commenced the investigation. B. The call made to DCFS was fraudulent. Our children have never eaten dog feces. We are extremely selective of who works in our home because we persistently receive threats to our safety and threats to our children's safety. During the months preceding the fraudulent call to DCFS, the only people who worked in our home were our nanny and housekeeper. Both were horrified by the DCFS visit and, without being asked, denied making this report to DCFS. C. The DCFS investigation terrified us, as we were concerned that we would lose custody of our children. We firmly believe that H3 Snark contributed to this incident by fostering a culture on H3 Snark that would regularly dehumanize us. By painting us as monstrous supporters of the genocide of Palestinians, it gave individuals complicit permission to employ any and all means to target us and our children. D. On March 11, 2025, we received 2 human skulls at TEI Studio, an address that is not public but was shared on the H3 Snark Mods Discord server. The skulls were shipped by a company called Skulls Unlimited International. As stated on their website, the company is committed to providing legally and ethically obtained natural bone osteological specimens, as well as the finest replica specimens, to the educational, medical, and research communities. E. We later discovered that 1. Someone pretending to be Ethan put in the order. 2. The order was placed with a VPN using an IP address from Sweden. 3. The email address provided was h3h3@hotmail.com, which is not Ethan's email address or an email address we or our employees use or have access to. 4. The order was placed under a business purchase order for next day morning delivery. And 5. Due to the urgent nature of the order, the individual was able to bypass payment and various safeguards Skulls Unlimited had in place. A true and correct copy of the correspondence between TEI and the managing director of the website is attached and incorporated. F. On April 19, 2025, we received a letter from DCFS that absolved us of any wrongdoing and found the allegations were deemed unfounded with no case opening. A true and correct copy of DCFS April 19, 2025 letter is attached here too and incorporated. G. If the court is interested in learning about the DCFS incident, we strongly recommend watching 1. The video I Can't Believe This Happened, and 2. Our stream from the day of the incident, Snark called Child Protective Services on us, H3 Show 119. The H3 Snark mods place great reliance on a transparently fabricated article on Medium entitled Change of H3H3. The article purports to be authored by someone claiming to be in the article. The author claims to have been part of a reputation management company we supposedly retained to attack our critics with false accusations of anti-Semitism and issue fraudulent DMCA takedowns to silence criticism. This article is complete fiction as explained below. A. We have never retained a reputation management company, public relations agency, or anything of the sort. We have never created a network of sock puppet accounts. We never requested that DMCA takedowns be issued to silence criticism. Further, if we wished to issue a DMCA takedown, we would have done so personally or requested our lawyer to do so, as we have done in the past. B. The apparent author has no digital footprint whatsoever. He has no LinkedIn page to confirm his identity, nor has he written any other article. The fact the author claimed to change details to protect anonymity fails to withstand scrutiny. If the claim we retained a reputation management company was true, it would have been incredibly easy for us to identify the author. Indeed, it makes little sense that someone in reputation management would so publicly attack a former client, which would be career suicide in the industry. C. Further, the image of the author used is a stock photo. A reverse image search of the photo reveals it has been used in connection with dubious testimonials. True and correct screenshots are provided below. The admission process was easy, and getting my visa and residence permit didn't take much time. Thanks to admission office, I now have the chance to study medicine in Georgia, which will enable me save a lot of life. We'll recommend it to others definitely. It is so easy to navigate through the features. I have 2 WhatsApp accounts, the regular one and WA Business. It is really helpful for me because there are so many important data in the 2 apps. I use it to do backup regularly and export important chats, contacts, photos and documents, then filter them by months. I am really grateful to have it. D. The H3 Snark mod's reliance on this clearly fraudulent article is an attempt to minimize our criticism of them and paint a false narrative that we accuse people who criticize us of anti-Semitism. We left Twitter to avoid criticism. The H3 Snark mods claim that we left Twitter, now X, to avoid criticism. This is false. We left Twitter because after October 7th, 2023, each post we made received a torrent of hateful and anti-Semitic comments, which was allowed when Elon Musk took over the company. Contrary to the H3 Snark mod's assertions, the problem was not that we were avoiding criticism. It was that we became too tempted to engage with people who were merely trying to antagonize. For our own well-being, we made the decision to leave Twitter, as have many other public figures. To prevent our accounts from being a breeding ground for hateful and anti-Semitic comments, we deleted every post we made, as the volume of these comments was unmanageable. We automatically banned criticism of us on H3 Productions. The H3 Snark mods claim that we banned anyone from providing criticism on the H3 Productions. This is false for several reasons. A. None of the examples cited by H3 Snark mods provide the exact post that resulted in a ban. The vast majority, however, indicate that the criticism that we were not sufficiently condemning Israel and or supporting the Palestinian cause to their satisfaction. The remaining examples give no indication whatsoever why they were banned, that we were not sufficiently condemning Israel or supporting the Palestinian cause to their satisfaction. The remaining examples give no indication whatsoever why they were banned or what they posted that resulted in a ban. B. We welcome criticism of us on H3 Productions and expressly say so in the description and rule of the subreddit. This subreddit is for fans of the show to discuss recent episodes, share memes, suggest segments or interesting topics, and whatever else is related to the show. This being a sub for fans of the show, I'm warning you with peace and love that weirdo hate watchers will be tossed. Reasonable criticism is encouraged, but if you despise Ethan Klein or think the show sucks, you're going to be tossed. TEI's DMCA takedowns were intended to silence criticism and to get H3 Snark banned. The H3 Snark mods claim that we admitted TEI issued DMCA takedowns to silence criticism and get H3 Snark banned. This is false. A more detailed discussion of the DMCA takedowns are contained in the Declaration of Rambanism. Further, the H3 Snark mod citations do not support their assertion as explained below. A. We almost cancelled today's episode, H3 Show 156. The H3 Snark mod's description of this video is misleading. The video was from June 9th, 2025, i.e. 10 days before the complaints in the Denims action, Frogan action, and Caseytron action were filed on June 19th, 2025. Immediately preceding the timestamp links reveals the discussion concerned, not H3 Snark, but its successor, Leftovers H3. Further, the discussion concerned how Leftovers H3 intentionally misrepresented information and banned a prominent YouTuber, along with threatening his life. The discussion about DMCA takedowns to H3 Snark was to highlight its protected status on Reddit. While other Snark subreddits were purportedly taken down for copyright infringement, H3 Snark was not, and Reddit even refused to honour TEI's August 30th, 2024 takedown of a H3 Snark comment directing users to the unauthorised YEUTUBE version of TEI's work. B. Adam McIntyre's Snark scandal proves Ethan was right about Reddit. H3 Show 165. The H3 Snark mod's description of this video is also highly misleading. The video is from July 11th, 2025, nearly a month after the complaints were filed. When Ethan reads the title of McIntyre's video, Ethan's trying to silence people who don't agree with him. Hila immediately responds with an emphatic no. As Ethan further explained, the DMCA takedowns were removing posts on the Snark subreddit that were explicitly reposted without any kind of commentary, with the explicit goal of stealing views from us. The very reasons that I'm now suing 3 people. As Ethan further explained, the DMCA takedowns were removing posts on the Snark subreddit that were explicitly reposted without any kind of commentary, with the explicit goal of stealing views from us. The very reasons that I'm now suing 3 people. And your dumb bitch ass at the time was saying I was silencing people, which makes no fucking sense because there's like 1,000 posts up there and we DMCA'd like 5 of them. So you want to explain how I'm silencing them? Ethan further stated, me and my lawyer were extremely conservative about which posts qualified. The ones I DMCA'd were egregious, right? Like I said, there's hundreds of posts. We removed maybe 5 at most. We admitted that filing the DMCA takedowns is easy. The H3 Snark mods claim Ethan admitted on his podcast that filing a DMCA strike is incredibly easy. This is false. Nowhere in the video cited by H3 Snark mods does Ethan make this statement. To the contrary, Ethan explained in the video the exacting standard TEI employed when deciding to issue a DMCA takedown. The nuke was a trap to target critics. The H3 Snark mods claim TEI set a trap to target critics. This is false and unsupported. TEI registered the nuke because we knew there was a high likelihood that individuals would watch it in its entirety immediately upon release and without sufficient commentary to justify such use. The H3 Snark mods even acknowledged this in their declarations. It's not that I wanted these people to steal my video, it's that I knew they would. I knew they would watch the entire video, add little to no commentary, react to it instantly, giving them no time to form an opinion. Further, as explained in the I'm suing these 3 creators, TEI sued Denims, Brogan, and Caseytron because all 3 expressly stated their intent was to siphon views away from the nuke to themselves. Clips of those statements are included in the video itself. We strongly urge the court to watch the I'm suing these 3 creators in its entirety to understand why TEI initiated these lawsuits for copyright infringement. Our fans were responsible for contacting ICE to get Adam McIntyre deported. The H3 Snark mods claim our fans contacted ICE to get McIntyre deported. No, we have never stated McIntyre should be deported, let alone encouraged our fans to contact ICE to do so. The evidence cited by the H3 Snark mods does not support this assertion. Rather, it is a screenshot from McIntyre's Instagram showing 2 Reddit posts. McIntyre redacted the poster's username and the subreddit on which the posts were made, making it impossible to substantiate his claim that the individual was a main member of the H3 Reddit. In an archived post, a user claimed to have reported McIntyre to ICE on the Adam McIntyre subreddit. While the user is currently suspended from Reddit, an archive of the user's posts from that period does not demonstrate involvement with the H3 Productions subreddit. We called Hassan's mum an undocumented housekeeper. The H3 Snark mods claim we called Hassan's mother an undocumented housekeeper. This is false. To begin, nowhere in the video cited do we make this claim. Rather, it was Hassan who claimed Ethan confused his mother for his housekeeper. This is also false. When we were still on good terms, Hassan would frequently invite Ethan to his house. On one occasion, when Ethan visited Hassan, Ethan saw a woman cooking and cleaning in Hassan's home. When Ethan attempted to introduce himself to her, she responded in Spanish, saying she did not speak English. Hassan took Ethan aside and said, "Don't mention her for obvious reasons," i.e., hiring a housekeeper who was likely undocumented was not good for his public image. When Ethan returned home, he shared the incident with Hila and how the encounter disturbed him. We body-shamed our former housekeeper. The H3 Snark mods reference our former housekeeper and claim we body-shamed her. This is gross distortion of the truth. On February 7th, 2025, our former housekeeper sued us and our entity Teddy Fresh for various employment-related claims in an action. Before we were aware or served with this lawsuit, Bonmoir and H3 Snark published this complaint. Due to the controversy and people treating the allegations as uncontroverted truth, we felt it necessary to defend ourselves and correct the public record. On February 10th, 2025, Ethan discussed the lawsuit on the podcast and explained, amongst other things, that our former housekeeper was terminated for repeatedly body-shaming our nanny by calling her fat. We further explained that we addressed it with her on several occasions and even with human resources. Both clips cited by the H3 Snark mods intentionally omit this portion of the discussion. When viewed in context, it is clear that Ethan's comment on our former housekeeper's appearance was solely to highlight the irony of her statements against our nanny. We have a reputation for being litigious. The H3 Snark mods claim that we have a reputation for being litigious. This is false. We have never sued anyone in our personal capacities. We have not caused our entities to sue anyone until these 3 copyright lawsuits. Rather, we have defended ourselves and our entities against numerous lawsuits, asserted a counterclaim in one of them, which led to settlement. Ethan's pedo troll Reddit account. The H3 Snark mods raised the discovery of Ethan's pedo_troll account as an example that the internet will continue to criticize us. To begin, the account was from 15 years ago. As the username indicates, the account was intended to troll pedophiles. The claim that Ethan made pedophilic statements about being attracted to his nephew illustrates the nature of the troll, because Ethan did not have nephews at the time. Further, Ethan publicly addressed this criticism, demonstrating we do not shy away from criticism and directly address its substance. A true and correct screenshot of Ethan's Instagram post addressing the situation is below. My friends, I have a terrible confession to make. Yes, it is true, my 15-year-old Reddit account was identified by using a doxxing website that lists a history of all emails and passwords that have been leaked in illegal data breaches. A post last night was made on the Snark subreddit by the person who obtained this information. With Reddit's help, this person was able to disseminate this illegally and maliciously obtained information to a community whose sole purpose is to harass me, my family, and my employees. In doing so, some terrible revelations were made. 1. Yes, my account username pedo_troll made a few bizarre and edgy attempts at being funny. It was common on Reddit 15 years ago to create a thematically named troll account to post silly things from. The method was to have Redditors read something crazy and then check the username and realize it was a goof. You can see evidence of this on most of the posts made in character. These troll stories include anecdotes that clearly never happened, including a story that references my children, who were born 10 years later. Further evidence of this is simply that I was self-promoting my YouTube channel while doing these parody posts. I knew I was personally identifiable the entire time. I was trying to be funny, so people would look at my account and discover my YouTube channel. I was not ashamed of it then, and I am not ashamed of it now. Embarrassed? Yes. On par with cringing at my old YouTube videos. Yes, there are a few posts of me being a Zionist Jewish supremacist, which includes me mostly arguing with someone calling Israel Nazi Germany. In totality, about 95% of the posts were about StarCraft 2, or self-promoting my YouTube channel. I have nothing to hide and nothing to apologize for. And remember, folks, joking about pedophilia is not the same as having it on your computer. Claims the H3 Snark mods made about Ethan's mental health. The H3 Snark mods continuously try to claim Ethan is mentally unwell, even creating a mega thread on the topic. In online circles, this is called concern trolling, i.e. undermining criticisms under the guise of concern. The H3 Snark mods mega thread on Ethan's mental health is replete with links, not to TEI content that exhibits such behavior, but content created by individuals, clearly hostile and antagonistic to Ethan, or posts on H3 Snark. Further, the mega thread traffics in more false conspiracy theories such as 1. That Ethan presented manipulated evidence to support the call to DCFS was fraudulent, and 2. That Ethan is self-medicating as a way to attribute his tics from Tourette's to cocaine abuse. Far from demonstrating genuine concern, The H3 Snark mods further antagonized us by dismissing our public criticism of their conduct as mental illness. This tactic is called crazy making, where victims are portrayed as irrational or unstable for speaking out about abuse, effectively silencing them. We would read the H3 Snark mods' declarations to humiliate them. The H3 Snark mods claim that we would read their declarations to publicly humiliate them. This is false. Even before we read the H3 Snark mods' declarations, we made the decision to not publicly discuss the contents of their declarations or the motion and have not done so. Final thoughts we wish to share with the court. We sincerely hope that we demonstrated to this court that the H3 Snark mods' motion and declarations should not be taken at face value. Rather, we hope we have shown that they have treated their motion and declarations like H3 Snark by forcing us to play whack-a-mole to address and refute countless assertions against us. They have now used the judicial process to continue their abuse and harassment of us. We believe that H3 Snark mods hold us to a double standard when they speak harassment, abuse, and threats, or that we are mentally unwell. The H3 Snark mods' counterfactual narrative is to paint themselves as victims when they are the victimizers. Due to the repeated abuse, harassment, and falsehoods the H3 Snark mods have directed at us, our lives are forever changed. We are no longer comfortable appearing in public, not just for our safety, but we have been repeatedly confronted by complete strangers claiming we advocate and participate in the genocide of Palestinians. Due to the constant threats we have received, we are both seeking concealed carried permits to defend ourselves and our children. We no longer do live events out of fear for our safety and the fear for our employees. Our employees have also suffered significantly, being constantly accused of working for advocates and participants in a genocide, and one being falsely reported to ICE. We have lost many relationships, both personal and professional, due to the false assertions they have spread about us. Our 3 children have suffered as well, and not just from the DCFS investigation. We are no longer comfortable taking them on playdates, as our presence would threaten the safety of innocent children and their parents. The H3 Snark mods' imaginary fears are our daily reality. We believe Jean-Paul Sartre's words articulate the situation best. Never believe that anti-Semites are completely unaware of the absurdity of their replies. They know that their remarks are frivolous, open to challenge, but they are amusing themselves, for it is their adversary who is obligated to use words responsibly, since he believes in words. The anti-Semites have the right to play. They even like to play with discourse, for, by giving ridiculous reasons, they discredit the seriousness of their interlocutors. They delight in acting in bad faith, since they seek not to persuade by sound argument, but to intimidate and disconcert. If you press them too closely, they will abruptly fall silent, loftily indicating by some phrase that the time for argument is past. We declare under penalty of perjury that the contents of this declaration are true and correct. Executed this 20th day of October 25, Los Angeles, California.